One time we had a friend here, all the lights went off except the TV. So Dana and I are just sitting there going, okay, when it comes back, and our friend's like, what's going on here? He's thinking they're snacks.
And how do you teach someone who's having a hard time with a new president in the United States?
The only thing constant is change. If you want to learn about surrender, this is it.
Is our kitchen clean enough to do this?
Well, bottom line, anyone that knows me knows I am not a morning wake up, feet on the ground, ready to go. So I'm here this morning with my wife Dana and let's have some tea.
So Deb,
Yes.
what do we do on our show?
Well, from what I've understood is that people are curious what a psychic does.
For their morning routine?
Pretty much.
She lays in bed.
Yeah. Pretty much what I would say
Till
is
10.
The dead don't get up that early, and I really think that is true. But I work pretty well, as the day gets on, my motor gets running, and it feels really good to get that blood going. But when it's winter here in Colorado, getting outside is way too cold. So a lot of hibernation. So just kind of a little background here, if anyone's curious, is we've been together a little over 9.5 years. And we got married, how long ago did we get married? It was October 5th.
Oh my gosh, has it been 2 years now?
2.5. Out in California on the beach with a friend. She officiated our wedding. And I'm really lucky because I get really well taken care of. So
What does that mean?
I get really well taken care of. I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
Dana hired me to be to help out. She owned a spa, come and just kind of work with her team.
That was a lifetime ago.
Yeah. And I had been married 2 other times to 2 men, not at the same time. I mean, it was 2 men at 2 different times.
Well, when I met Deb, I was working in marketing. I was working with contractors in their marketing, and for a company that was really starting to not resonate with me. And I was struggling pretty hard because I knew it wasn't my full path. And as I started to struggle harder and harder, Deb came in and said, you know what? I'm sure she thought about it long and hard because you never know if doing business together is going to ruin a relationship or not. And she invited me to help her full time with helping her do her events and running Sheppard LLC. And started with the marketing and doing all the events and everything, and then it evolved into figuring out how we could grow and how she can expand. And so many people in Denver knew about her, in Colorado, but a little bit out of Colorado, but not that much, right? And so we just feel like the message that she shares is too powerful to stay small. And so we started to get more team to help us figure out how to get her teachings out there and how to help more people. And that's became my job. Is okay, how do we figure out how to reach more people so she could help them? And it keeps expanding. Our vision of what's happening keeps getting bigger and bigger, and so here we are now. I probably started working with you maybe 2 years into our relationship. Got out of marketing and started just focusing on Deb.
Which is a lot of work.
Yeah. But at the time, you were really, really sick too.
Yeah, there was health-wise, there were some struggles. So she really was a lifesaver in a lot of those ways. Thank you very much. And through all that, after her persistence figuring out what was really wrong, I mean, there was just several things that, added up. I was having seizure,
die a few times.
Yeah, went septic, bunch of things like that. So, when those kind of things happen, you have a wake-up call, I think, and I really wanted to teach again, and part of it is putting our program together and moving forward, and never imagined that it would continue to expand, which is really, grateful and honored to be able to do that work, and then doing the medium work. And just to kind of go back, it's in my head now when the first time we stayed here alone, because people ask if their house is haunted and things like that. And you were a little scared a couple of first times that you stayed here.
I was in the house, and I think you were actually out with one of your friends, Dave. And I was in the house, and I was, making dinner or something. We had plans that evening, and nobody else was here. And all of a sudden, I heard a door slam.
No human body.
Well, so you know what I did? I don't know if I ever told you. So I kind of was like, oh, what was that? And I'm listening, and I didn't hear footsteps, and I actually was like, okay, I think I'm safer outside than I am inside, because I don't know what that was. It freaked me out a little bit.
Ghosts don't go outside, they just stay inside.
So I think I stepped out on the deck, and I'm like looking at the house. Do I go back in? It's really cold out here, because it was in December.
Yeah.
I think it was, no, it was probably like January, December,
cold.
January.
That's
But,
a kitty.
yeah.
This
Hi,
is one of the
Bella.
mini fur babies. She's
She's a little weird.
scaredy cat. That's Bella Luna. She'll be back. She usually doesn't get on the counter, so that's unusual. Yeah, but people ask a lot of times if the house is, if their house is haunted, and of course,
Our answer is yes.
yes.
We've had so many things happen that show us that they're always
right.
around. But I mean, we work out of here, so we always have
Stuff happening.
But you freak me out the most, absolute most, when you'll look up at the catwalk or the hallway, and you'll go, "Oh, did you see that person just walk by?" I'm like, "Whoa, what?"
The person in the basement going down, and yeah,
There's a man standing right there with a hat. I'm like,
don't tell me this. People think that when I meet them and they find out what I do, they think I'm reading them, and absolutely not. I turn it off. But if I've been working all the day, or we sit down and the house is quiet, sometimes over the years you can feel. But they also like to turn the TV on at 2 a.m. Or one time we had a friend here, and we're all watching TV, and all the lights went off except the TV. And Dana,
everything went off.
Yeah.
Just the TV was on.
So Dana and I are just sitting there going, okay, when it comes back, and our friend's like, what's going on here? So it is weird for people that are not used to it, but I absolutely turn it off, and it is a lot of energy. And my belief system is not going into other people's space. Now, granted, there's been times where I feel like I'm being hit on the head by someone's loved one, and if it feels comfortable and I can, bring that up, I will, but otherwise I turn the volume down, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think it would probably, it would drive you crazy if you were on all the time.
I'm already crazy enough.
Yeah. But I think, it'd be hard to have like relationships and us to live a normal-ish life if you were always on.
Yeah, and people say, well, can you read my mind? And most of us can read body language, most of us can read a room, we can kind of, tune in and see how things feel. But yeah, there's times where it's like really activated and expanding, but it's intentional.
But I think it's fun when there's some people that think you can read their mind.
Get nervous.
There are times I'm like, that works to our advantage.
Yeah, you know what you're thinking, you know what you're saying. Yeah. You better be careful.
Although you do read minds too, I'm just saying. Like this past weekend at this event when
you can kind of pick up on stuff. But it's important to have the ethics around any of this type of work, because first of all, it should be something that we process as sacred, that we really honor our ancestors. At the same time, where people are in a good spot to be able to hear from a loved one, or be able to, to know that they're around. People
is
say,
it harmful or hurtful
yes,
at that point?
Yeah, what do you call it? And is it for your ego? But
That's the last thing.
Mm-hmm. But
the last thing you want to do, the last thing we want to do in what we do is cause more suffering.
Yeah. But yeah, there's all those activities. I mean, like you said, the door slam, people walking, things are happening, and you're used to it now.
Yeah.
You're used to
I'm
it
used
now.
to it now. I'm used to it now, but that took a little while to constantly have loved ones around and stuff.
I think it would be great though if we could charge the ghost a little bit of rent money. Yeah. So.
Or your favorite joke? Could they clean the house
Can
a
we
little
clean
bit
the
while
house?
they're here?
Are you coming back? Yes. Well, we fed you. So this is 2 cats, 2 dogs. Yeah, and Bella.
She's our weirdest one, though.
Yeah, she's got some.
She's strange.
She's strange, but hey, we're kind of. I mean, how many people
Live with
does
ghosts?
it? Yeah.
I'm sure she sees them. That's probably why she's so weird.
Yeah. So she actually licks the hair off of her because for stress. And we try a lot of things, but I think she's just
Calm,
a little
food,
sensitive.
yeah.
A little sensitive.
One of the funniest times with the cat seeing ghosts, though, was Bodie. Do you remember?
When he jumped up.
He jumped straight
Straight
up
up.
and tore through the house, yeah. And then peeked around the corner, his tail pushed out.
Here we go. There's Mr. Bodie. Come on, Bo.
Come on. Look. Here, you can sit on the chair.
He goes, all the time I've gotten in trouble, now you're going to pull me up here.
How about if we sit on the chair? Look. Ah.
There you go. He's like, oh, okay, Mom. So the question was about, do I talk about my students? We have 4 separate ones going on currently. And originally when it began, it was supposed to be for 6 months. And now we have students that's been in the program for 5 years. So we've created other curriculum. And it truly is my passion. And watching people do deep work to heal all their old wounds and suffering and be able to feel whole and have that self-love. Can't ask for anything, in my opinion, my experience, that could be better. And we devote so much time because we believe that they're our community. We believe they are helping support each other. And
we talk about community being medicine because that's creating that foundation. People are lonely and they're in grief and they're struggling through life and they don't really have a way to get tools to understand or and that's what you bring.
I think
we bring together, but you
is
bring.
Our society is not good at helping people through grief, and they say things that are not appropriate. So it helps with that whole situation of getting through grief, and I shouldn't say getting through, but having to be able to have tools to manage it, and not have any shame and guilt because of their grief. There people are ashamed so much of the time. And then the other aspects of it is healing all your stuff throughout your life and understanding the patterns and when people start being able to reframe, that's where you and I are like, yes, you become so excited for them.
What's interesting is, with this program, as it's grown and as we evolve with it, knowing how this program has changed me because of my childhood and where I was and how much pain you carry throughout your life. That's what, it's not just grief over losing a loved one. It's grief over not having the childhood that you look back now and wish you had, or grief over not having the parents that you wished you had, or, so there's all kinds of grief, but it's also empowerment. So.
Well, you and I don't get to get away with not dealing with our stuff. We talk about we're excavating our wounds to find out what to heal, and sometimes we don't even know that stuff's in there. But as we are accountable for teaching, every day we're looking in like, oh, this just came up, oh, that just came up, and what do we do with that? So it keeps us on track whether we like it or not. You can't hide.
But I think for me, I've gotten used, at this point, I think I've gotten used to doing the work. I feel like, okay, what else? What is there another layer that I can unravel so that I can feel more peaceful? But at first, gosh, it's so uncomfortable. At first, when you first start looking at yourself and looking at your wounds. No.
There's a lot of people that are teachers out there that teach spirituality, mindfulness, things like that. But what I find, there's surface learning versus
The fluff,
yeah, and that's great. It's a great introduction, but we dig into things, and what I have witnessed, and so have you, how people have just healed some old stuff, and we're able to then, release some of the anger or the attachment or things like that they've been able to, find their empowerment, find their superpowers, which is always cool. And I think a part of it starts off with understanding how we think. I think it's so often we become numb to our process of thinking. So awareness is number one. How do you talk to yourself? What do you believe? Is your beliefs old that stay with you? And it starts with understanding our fears. There are so many times that we don't realize how fear-based we are from our childhood, from our relationships, from work environments, things like that. And so the first thing we get, and that's little JC, he's gonna be 16, yeah, can't hear, but he's thinking there's snacks, is just being open to what are they believing. And so when they're able to be aware of their belief system, does it align with what they're trying to manifest? Is it aligned with their healing? Is it, they just dig a little deeper, and it's not how we believe, it's are they believing things that are causing more scarcity, more limitations, more fears? It's creating these things. And when you let people know that they can believe or think differently, it's almost like it's a surprise. Really? I don't have to believe that? Like, no. Just because you had an experience doesn't mean it's the only way to process life. And so it's all about getting new tools, rewiring what you're thinking, start talking to yourself differently. And I know that stuff is out there, but I feel like we provide all these really cool tools that people can go, oh yeah, I need to pull that tool out again and use it.
And accountability.
Accountability, yeah.
Because you're in a community too of people who are all learning the same thing and holding each other throughout the process.
Probably the number one lesson that everyone gets or tool is stay in your own lane.
Number one.
Number one. So we attract, of course, a lot of people that are usually women, they're healers, they're caregivers, they're giver, all that kind of stuff. And when we first time out of the gate is stay in your own lane. Don't try to help everybody else. This is all about your inward journey. Don't give advice, because we want to naturally nurture somebody else that's suffering. And I think that's the number one thing that people learn. It goes on for all the years they've been with me. I'm trying to stay in my own lane because there's so much energy we spend.
It just came up is one of the students, but can I turn my blinker on?
Yeah, can I turn my blinker on? So we actually took that one in.
We started using that one. That was a really good one.
I have my blinker on. People don't realize how much energy we spend taking care of everybody else.
Yeah.
Which gives us permission not to look at our own stuff, so we don't do any of that healing. And so we reframe it by saying, look at yourself, take time to look at your stuff to heal. Others will follow suit because you're leading or you're setting an example, but we have a tendency to put all of our energy and stuff in there.
Yeah.
That doesn't empower anybody.
Right.
So that's a big stay in your lane. Yeah. There's a few of those kind of little one-liners that help people go inward. Look in that mirror, try to see what's really going on, and what are we attracting? People want to manifest stuff, and I am so for that. But at the other part of it is they want to manifest maybe, a new house, a job, or a relationship, or extra money, or whatever it looks like. But there's all this damage stuff over here, things that they're not dealing with, or all the negativity. And so you're not going to manifest, the things that you're wanting or desiring to have. So it's working on that foundation and shifting that around. And when people, that light bulb goes on, and I'm like, yes.
You mean I don't have to take care of everyone else?
You don't
That's
think
usually the big one in
Yeah.
the very beginning. That's the
And
most
then-
basic. You mean I don't have to take
do
care of
it.
everyone?
Everyone's on their own path. And then the guilt that comes from taking care of yourself and not taking care of others. There's that, how do we get the brain to change that awareness by saying, take care of you. You're a priority. And, I've said this 1,000 times, is when you're on the plane and they're telling you if the oxygen levels change, etc., to put your mask on first and then everybody else's. And we're not designed that way. And bringing that alone, that awareness of, it's okay to take care of yourself, especially not with both sexes, but I find women are really challenged with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes more so.
Well, this is where the caretakers typically.
Yeah. Well, I'm not anymore. I let you take care of me.
I know, I was going to say.
I'm sorry, my nail needs to be filed, so I really can't help you with the dishes or anything. Yeah. I'm busy. I'm busy playing a game on my phone.
And how do you teach someone who's having a hard time with a new president in the United States?
Good question. Well, one thing we know on a human level is the only thing constant is change. I mean, that's really it. And we're in a country where every 4 years we vote to say who we want to run this, country. And I'm sure on both sides there's always discomfort. There's always going to be discomfort because your person didn't win, your belief systems didn't win, and then we have a lot of fear because most of us want to have control. And we don't get to control them. If you want to learn about surrender, this is it. I think a lot of it has to do to our fears are connected to, social media, everything that we get. And so we're feeding that consciousness over and over and over, which if you voted for this individual, you might be more excited. And if you didn't, you may have more fear. And what I do know, without a doubt, we can't control anything, but how we learn to respond. So what do you need depending on what side of the aisle? So for me, it's what do I need to comfort myself when there could be some things of fear come up that don't align with what I believe. I mean, I'm married to a woman with, we have our very rainbow family.
Diverse,
diverse family. And so our radar is up a little bit more. With that said, I don't want to live our lives in fear.
Right.
And it's all about what are you doing on a conscious level to feel like you're going to be safe. What things do you have in place? What's going to feed your heart and soul? Who is your community that you are with that will help you go through it? And be very aware of not going down that rabbit hole with negativity and fear when we don't know what the outcome's going to be yet for a while. And even though someone can come into office and make some decisions that you don't agree with, there's always going to be some things in that can shift it or change it and how we respond.
Right.
And but anytime that these kind of things change, and this could be in your company, where the leader of a company could be the patriarch or the matriarch of your family. When that changes, people go into fear. Like, what are we going to do and how does it fall apart? So the biggest key in my belief system, what are you doing to nurture your confidence, to know that you can only respond by what happens?
Yeah.
Did you have a thought around that?
It's just, we talk about these things so much because this is literally what the class is about, is how do we get over our fear and replace our fears with what empowers us? And we often find people spiraling, when we happen to look at social media or, we often find that people are spiraling out of control. And
I think a thing to do too, if you're in a lot of fear around this, is to think about in the past when you felt like you didn't have control. Your company, closed offices, or you lost your job, you got divorced, someone died. Where was it in your life where someone critical, things changed and your life was no longer the way it was before? How did you get through that? So reflecting on how you got through something before. And if you felt like you didn't get through it good, what did you learn? What in retrospective can you go back and wish I could have wish you could have, should have, until this morning, done things differently? This is your opportunity. I think if you voted for Trump and you're certainly leaning towards that belief system, to be sensitive to people that did not vote, that are maybe in fear. And it doesn't mean that you can't get along. What it means is we should be aware and sensitive to the people around us that have a different belief system.
Yeah, I think we've gotten really far away from that. It's
Like how you
being
still respect.
sensitive to each other as humans,
Yeah.
not as political parties,
Right.
but as humans.
Can you understand that both sides have reasons why they're voting or believe the way they do?
Yeah.
And be caring about that. And I think too, when we look at politics, there are so many laws that are being changed and are things that are happening in the political environment that we don't even know about. So when certain things are really highlighted and we're drawn to it, the reading, is it there to make you angry? Is it there to have your awareness? Is it there because you want to just be educated? So think about the reasons why you're going into the news so much. And can you create a balance by having some awareness in our political arena, but then how do you connect with your soul too to be able to be okay, because it's hard. It's it's hard for change. I think, well, we have to recall that every 4 years we have a new political climate, and so just look at it. America has gotten through. So
Well, and it's actually, I mean, if we think about it, in 2 years, they'll have an election for new, state representatives, and so every 2 years.
So the question is how
Change.
to deal with it. Take care of yourself, don't overdo it. Respond to what you can control, and
Or, I mean, really, but can we control anything?
the way you think, how much time you spend on stuff, what you do with your own soul and body, mind. That's what you can control. And bad humor, whatever your humor is, lean into humor. The TV shows, if you're on any social media, get some funny stuff, be around people that have a sense of humor. Lift that soul up as much as you can, because it may be difficult. And you may not be affected, but you may have people around you that are affected. So, how do you support the community that way too? So, yeah. What time will tell, and I'm sure this will not be our last conversation regarding this topic. That's just my psychic hit, for sure. Yeah, good tea, hun.